Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone, and welcome to Moral Compass 101. I want to take this chance and thank God for another good day, which I do believe it's a day that He has made, that we shall rejoice and be glad in it. We concluded our last topic about the three vicious forces that rule the world, namely fear, stupidity, and greed, by a contradictory statement or thought where I say that the world has been ruled by a trade of viciousness for way too long, and therefore a dire need to embrace a throne of virtuousness and moral excellency, which are long overdue. So that is just a recap of what we did last time. And before we proceed, I'll please request you to subscribe so that we can get edified together. I've noted that so many people do watch my videos and they have not yet subscribed. Please or kindly subscribe to get edified. Comment so that we can interact. We interact. You can ask me questions and I can line them up for future topics, and like and share so that you can spread or disseminate knowledge. Having said that, I'll quote the words of Warren Buffett, which he says that look for three things in a person: intelligence, energy, and integrity. If they don't have the last one, don't even bother with the first two. In other words, if they don't have integrity, forget about their energy and their intelligence. This maxim brings us to our today's topic, which is integrity deficiency syndrome, or in short, IDS. This is a term that I coined a while back, which incorporates or brings forth wisdom as a facilitator of both knowledge and understanding. For us to be on the same page on this matter, please allow me to erude the contrast or the distinction between intelligence and integrity. These two terms, intelligence and integrity, are times without number used interchangeably, but they have very diverse meanings. Intelligence is knowledge, and integrity is wisdom. While I've not been certain about the conundrum between the hen and the egg of who or what came first, I'm well versed that knowledge precedes wisdom. Nonetheless, wisdom facilitates both knowledge and understanding. There is this intriguing question that people ask: between the hen and the egg, which came first? I'm also on the dark on that matter. But one thing I know is that knowledge is facilitated. Both knowledge and understanding are facilitated by wisdom. Contrary to the empiricism theory that's embedded on tabula rasa, which is an assertion that human brain is a blank slate at birth, and therefore all knowledge is derived from sensory experiences, a child is born with a pre-wired brain structure and certain innate abilities like basic instincts, genetic predispositions, substantial capability and capacity to acquire knowledge, and the importance of inclination to wisdom. This fact fully supports the innatism theory. This statement brings us to the knowledge of two theories that contradict each other. The first theory is empiricism theory that states that a human being's mind is totally blank at birth, and hence the acquisition of knowledge is incumbent only on sensory experiences. And the second theory, which is innatism theory, states that a human being's mind is pre-wired with brain structure during birth that brings the ability and the capacity to acquire knowledge and the inclination of wisdom. Whilst I'm not lost that human development is also shaped by both nature is genetic influences, and nurture, these are environmental and experiential factors. I'm well informed that we have the capacity, that are the resources, no, the capability, we have the capability, these are the resources, and the capacity are the quantity and quality threshold. So a human being has both of these, the capability, which are the resources, and the capacity, which are the quantitative and qualitative threshold. And what we primarily lack is ability. Ability is wisdom to benefit from our capability and our capacity. Remember, we just said that wisdom is the facilitator of both knowledge and understanding. So this point brings us to the attention that although we have the capability, which are the resources, and the capacity, which are the qualitative and quantitative measure or the threshold, we lack one very, very important aspect, which is wisdom. This is the facilitator that makes your capacity and your capability effective. While having the capacity and the capability is a matter of knowledge, having the ability to implement and utilize your capacity and capability is a matter of wisdom. That, the whole metamorphosis is never complete with knowledge and understanding in absentia of wisdom, because you cannot apply knowledge effectively and efficiently in absentia of wisdom. This claim brings us to the biblical case study of the rich fool that's recorded by Dr. Luke in chapter number 12, verses 13 through 21 in his gospel. What does it say? The fact that this man was rich is a true depiction of his knowledge on how to acquire riches or material possessions. This is a parable of the rich fool. The man is rich, but he's a fool. That's why he had the capacity, the resources to meet all his, he had the capability, sorry, that's why he had the capability, these are the resources, to meet the capacity. This is the qualitative and quantitative threshold that he needed in order to sustain himself the rest of his life. Yes, he had the resources, and those resources had the quality and the quantity to meet all his, to sustain him for a lifetime. His need to demolish his stores and build bigger stores that could accommodate his surplus harvest substantiates my claim. The Bible tells us of, he needed now, all he needed was to enlarge his stores or the granaries and store his harvest, Unfortunately, him retiring to eat and rest, or his retire to eat and rest mindset, is what earned him a decisive title: rich fool, or the rich fool. A person's life does not consist the abundance of their possessions only, but true wisdom contrives the reverence, fear of God that renders understanding that a man cannot live on bread alone, but only on the word that proceedeth from the mouth of God. That's according to the Gospel of Mark, the Gospel of Matthew, chapter numbers 4 and verses 4. Hence, reverence, fear of God is the fundamental foundation of wisdom. This is according to the wisest man who ever walked on planet Earth. His attestation is recorded in Proverbs chapter number 9 and verses 10. This is the beginning of the fear of the Lord, is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Reference, wisdom, reference, fear of God, or into bracket wisdom, is supposed to be a perpetual divine impulse that necessitates recurring and incessant pursuit of knowledge, which is an infinite human necessity that no man can acquire sufficient. This statement is telling us, that wisdom, unlike our physical food, that when we indulge with food, we get full, until another time. But, feeding or indulging in food makes us full, we get satisfied. But indulging in wisdom, makes us to have a state of insatiable hunger and thirst for more and more wisdom. And that's what sustains our need for knowledge, or our need to seek knowledge. It's extremely unfortunate that we have a vast majority of high educated young people who have added a doctorate of complaints in their resumes due to lack of employment. However, their lack of integrity have hindered them to explore the myriad alternatives that exist outside their successful academic accomplishments. That, the young people of this generation, are just complaining. Yes, their complaints are valid. There is not enough jobs out there. But, they they have not explored, they have not explored alternatives due to their lack of wisdom, you know, because as much as they have the knowledge, the academic knowledge, the absence of that of wisdom is what makes them to stay in their mediocrity, because wisdom is a facilitator of both knowledge and understanding. This claim substantiates our opening remarks by Warren Buffett, that my claim that, we need wisdom, we need integrity more than we need energy and intelligence, is being substantiated by this claim. Your lack of wisdom, which is a matter of integrity deficiency syndrome, does not only instigate your subservience to the elite and the ruling class, avariciousness that's concealed by their manufactured fear through psychological conditioning as a manipulation mechanism. It also deems you stupid for lack of defiance and your compulsive complicity, which subtly robs you your hard-earned academic credibility. I will explain that. Your lack of wisdom, which is a matter of IDS or intelligence deficiency syndrome, brings about the subservience or subjugation or being subjected to the manipulative mechanisms and psychological conditions of the elite, just because which the situation makes you compulsive or complacent to their titles, or to how they address you, or how they perceive you as a stupid person. And this aspect, the whole quagmire, robs you the credibility of your academic, qualifications. In closing, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired of the three virtuous forces that hitherto rules the world, we must be ready and willing to overcome these centuries-old fights by embracing wisdom as a fundamental, constitutive, defined, universal need that facilitates knowledge and understanding, effectiveness, and efficiency. That if we want to change anything, if we want to change how the elite and the ruling class have for the longest treated us through manipulation and psychological conditioning, we must be willing to change or to embrace wisdom. Because as much as we are educated, our deficiency of wisdom, has kept us in the subservience of their laws, and regulations that are manipulative in nature. Having said that, a perfect example that will make you understand what difference there is while knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, wisdom is knowing not to add it in a fruit salad. Better still, knowledge is knowing the traffic light has turned red. Wisdom is applying the brakes in the understanding of the consequences that may ensue if you decided not to. Your incessant failure to defy and resist the elites and the ruling class psychological conditioning that instigates subjugation, and your subservience to their manufactured fear, which is their manipulation mechanism, that have made you to unquestionably surrender your capability and capacity due to integrity deficiency syndrome, clearly substantiates my claim that failure to learn from a mistake isn't due to lack of knowledge, but rather lack of wisdom. So, just like I said, we are well educated, we have the knowledge that we need to bring change, but unfortunately, we don't have the wisdom, which is a facilitator, to bring this change. If we need to change the way the world is currently ruled, we must change the three vicious forces that are used. This can only be done through our corrective defiance on the elites and the ruling class imposed manufactured fear, delusional stupidity, and insatiable greed as a manipulation tool of subservience to their conditioning. This subservience to their unjustifiable conditioning has kept us in their subjugation and control. Unfortunately, this is a vicious cycle of psychological conditioning as subservience to their manipulation. While the elite and the ruling class continue to perceive us as being stupid due to their mere thinking that we are not educated, we have an onerous responsibility to prove them otherwise. However, your suppression of your mental faculty as an eye-opener on the importance of wisdom in your life makes you nothing but a fool. Yes, you might agree with me that you are learned, you are educated, you are well schooled. That's inarguable, but your lack of wisdom, does not make you stupid. It makes you a fool. While stupidity can ensue from lack of knowledge, foolishness emanates from lack of wisdom. I'll repeat that closing statement. That while stupidity can ensue from lack of knowledge, which most of us have, foolishness emanates from lack of wisdom. Until next time, please stay safe. Blessings and shalom.